Oh, Austin.
Yes.
Austin. We got a hot one today.
Yes.
We got a hot one today.
Oh, do we? Yes, we do.
Last week it was all sunshine and roses. I'm Shane Chastain. That's Austin. We are 40K Fanatics Podcast, and we're coming to you with more. We're going to start with 30K, but we're going to get into a larger discussion that covers a lot of GW stuff. Last week it was all sunshine and rainbows. We gave you 2 episodes. We did one just going through the new Warhammer reveals, and they were great. Really, I'm always happy to get new stuff. And I think we, more than most 40K podcasts, tend to be very positive toward GW just because I don't think that our Plastic Men's is all that serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they do a pretty good job. The game is fun. I always have fun. I find it's difficult to not have fun. But that's like my opinion, man. But today, we get the stick out.
Yeah.
We're going to beat them about their head and shoulders a little bit. There is work going on at my house, so you may hear hammering in the background. And that is good.
Oh.
Hammering is progress. We like progress. First part of the show, we're going to read your comments. We're going to open up the Vox channel as we do every week and see what you guys have to say about previous episodes. This one comes from Spotify, and it comes from our Big Summer preview show. Dave and Company, frequent contributor to the pod, says, all the 40K stuff looks great. The Votan finally look like a whole army. Each of the Space Marine characters look great. Raven Guard and White Scars leaders in particular. And the kill team with Necron corridors. I'll need 2 of those. But the big surprise is Chaos Dwarves. Hellsmiths. I'm really liking the models and the tidbits of their lore. Parenthetical says, forcing order from chaos. Wow, that's unique for AOS and 40K. In close parenthesis, he says, I've played AOS before. Maybe this will drag me back in. Great recap, 40K Fanatics. Thank you for the compliment at the end there, Dave and Company. And I agree, the Chaos Dwarves I thought looked really cool.
Okay.
You said they looked much. You said they looked similar to the old Warhammer Fantasy Chaos Dwarves, and I still haven't seen a picture of them, but I'll take your word for it. But I thought they looked quite unique.
You know the Chaos Dwarves from Blood Bowl?
Well, they're all kind of red and black, and nobody paints their Blood Bowl teams, so I've never really got a good look at them.
I was going to say they're literally the same, but like they're not playing football.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at them. Paint your Blood Bowl teams, folks. It makes it hard to see what's what and who's who. We've got another one, this one from other frequent contributor, Paradukes. He says, I'm very much looking forward to the new kill team, though as I just finished kit bashing the Primaris version of the old Deathwatch Veterans team, I'm hoping they stay playable, because in the new kill team we've got some Deathwatch, Primarisized Deathwatch. I was watching a little bit of the new Grey Knight Codex review from Tabletop Tactics, one of my favorite sources, 40K information, and I just could not. I watched like 40 minutes of it, and they were going through the detachments, and I just couldn't stop from thinking how crazy it is that they've got all these new rules and stuff, and they're going to be knee-high to a Terminator on the battlefield, and that is so crazy to me. Like, how hard would it have been for GW to just literally go into their file and scale up the old kit, the 15% or whatever it is, and just be like, and here it is, this, sort of a placeholder. Like, they wouldn't say it's a placeholder, but we would all know that it's like a placeholder, hold you down till next edition or whenever they get around to it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would that have been terrible? Like, we would be hating on them would we hate on them just as much? Possibly.
I think anything they do will gather hate.
Yeah, but that in particular, just the idea that in the year OR Emperor 2025, you can still buy Squatty Marines as a new thing with a new book is crazy.
Yeah. Are they the only ones left with Squatty Marines?
To my knowledge, um, Chaos got. It's funny. My all my Black Legion Chaos Space Marines they got a scale increase. With no name. They just came out with new kits and they were big, right? And then Primaris came out
Hmm.
and they were slightly bigger than that, which I'm not mad at, because they're supposed to be Primaris, and my guys theoretically are supposed to be Firstborn or whatever, except they're not. They're giants compared to Grey Knights. um, so I don't know, man. It's crazy. I see a lot of people are mad right now too about the Saturnine or Saturnine, the new Terminators
Yes,
for Hor
Saturnine.
Yeah, the new Terminators for Horus Heresy. People are mad that they're so giant, and I'm thinking, yeah, but look at them. They're awesome, and they got all. I saw some. I saw some Facebook groups where people were saying that why does 40K do this and 30K, why do they keep moving the scale around like this? We've got this big giant model for no reason that they could possibly think of, and I'm thinking, but it's cool. Like, look, scale creep is a problem if it's just one continuous line from start to finish and everything that's ever been made is meant to function together. But that's not even how they lay it out, Like, stuff gets legended, stuff gets replaced wholesale, base sizes get changed. If you're sitting here trying to have first edition Terminators set next to new Primaris Terminators and play them on the table, that's your prerogative, but don't get mad at the new Terminator kit because you're doing something crazy. Like,
No, I just look. Yeah.
at some point progress has to happen, right? And I think progress toward cool stuff is never a negative. Go ahead.
I just looked it up. I think the only two squatty things left are tactical squads and devastator squads for Space Marines.
You you could still get a squatty tactical squad,
Yeah, they haven't stopped selling those.
but don't they? But they have a modern tactical squad now, don't they?
No, they've never made a modern tactical squad.
That's crazy.
They've got the intercessors, but that's not a tactical squad.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's the deal, isn't it? The intercessors are sort of the tactical squad equivalent.
Yeah.
Um,
See, I was gonna say what they did. Tactical squad is kind of like a kill 'em all unit that's got like your bolter guys and you got special weapons and heavy and all that. The intercessors, what they've done for Primaris is just make each unit its own thing. So here's your gun squad, here's your heavy squad, here's your special squad. They've gotten rid of kind of that flexible Swiss Army knife feel for the army.
yeah, you kind of end up with five guys that all sort of do the thing, like those five guys with the Nerf guns. What are they called? Those with the T-shirt cannons.
Yeah,
I
the
actually really like those guys. Are they the Desolators?
something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of blanka blankers in the Space Marine line. Um, well, that's the Vox channel where we read your comments. Also, we're doing a push right now. We need, at the time of recording, like 46 more subscribers over on the YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate, review everywhere that you get your podcast. We really like you to listen on Spotify because we believe that if we put all our eggs in one basket and then it explodes, and that'll help to sort of pollinate the rest, right? Think of
Mhm.
Spotify as a big sunflower field, and you guys are the bees. The
No,
bees! Not the bees! Anyway, so you guys can be the witches putting the bees on Nicolas Cage and sting our face with your likes and your subscribes and whatnots. But the YouTube, the reason why we need to get to 500 subscribers is because we like that, and also it opens up some avenues of monetization that we need to continue to fund our plastic crack addiction.
oh
On to the
yeah.
on to the next part of the show. Let's open up that Bits box. Bits box is the part of the show where we talk about what we've done in the miniature gaming hobby this week. Austin, what have you done?
I have done nothing.
Nothing?
I don't have time to do anything right now.
Oh my gosh. You're in the doldrums of summer, aren't you?
Well, first thing is that it is a heat index of over 100 degrees right now outside, and that is currently coming into my apartment.
Oh
Our
no.
AC, we have one window AC that kind of cools off the main room, but we have a bedroom off to the side, and it hardly reaches over here. So as the sun bears down upon us in the afternoon, the apartment heats up even more until it is nearly unbearable.
Ooh. You guys are gonna have to start sitting out on the porch with some hand fans.
I don't even know what that would help, but it's going to be okay because I'm in the process of getting a new house.
Very nice. Yeah, that's gonna be exciting, man. When you get a new place, and I'll come over and build you a gaming table. We'll get it in there before your fiance realizes that we've done it, and then you'll just have a game room set up. But sort of you'll be like an old 49er, just running to your plot of land that you pick.
Yeah.
I claim this for plastic mins.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll throw all your stuff out in the yard. It'll be fun. Well, I don't blame you. It is hot. I played 18 holes of golf in the 105-degree heat index yesterday. It was all you want. But I did do a bit of hobbying. Now, I've been in a little bit of a hobbying slump. I've been out of town the last 2 weekends, and so that's kind of disrupted my usual sort of rhythm to my hobbying. Coming back on Sunday, Monday, getting all the laundry done, getting things back put together as a person before going out again, right? And last night, I said, I must start because starting is the most important part to any bit of hobbying. And I looked around my various unopened boxes of things, my pile of shame, if you will. It's not very big though, so I'm not quite ashamed of it yet. But I've got quite a bit of Judge Dredd stuff still, and I cracked one open. It's this guy. His name's Dirty Frank, and I can't think of what he's called. Basically, in the Judge Dredd universe, he's like an undercover cop, and so he's a judge, but he like dresses in plain clothes. And in the case of Dirty Frank, he looks like a unhoused gentleman, right? He's all cruddy and gritty, and he's got crazy hair and looks like a maniac. And I spent 3 hours painting his sleeves and his little leather cloak thing, and started on his face because for some reason, Austin, I cannot help myself. If I'm painting a Judge Dredd figure, it's the fullest of ballsack efforts. Just
Wow.
absolutely pegged. I've not used any washes. I'm mixing colors. I'm trying to do big contrast. I'm doing various different shadow colors depending on the material. I'm also trying to do different textures on different materials. It's a whole Megillah. I'm even going to attempt to make him a graying redhead.
Ooh.
And his face looks dirty. I managed to do that. Started off painting his face with brown, dark brown.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like a sunburned, old, grizzled white guy. And so far, so good. Like there's a warmth, but with a griminess to him so far that is coming along. And you can check all of this out over on our Discord in the Bitsbox channel, where you can see what we're doing and post your own for people to peruse and view and comment upon. Is totally free to join. The link is below or above or wherever you may find that link. Don't be a jerk or we'll throw you out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since you've not done any hobbying, I guess that closes the Bitsbox today.
All right. I just want to say one thing. I was imagining kind of like a homeless, like Ron Howard, as you were describing him.
It's not like a homeless Ron Howard. It's more like a homeless Carrot Top.
Okay.
He's got big hair.
Okay. He's got the big red head. Okay.
Yeah, big red head. And
Okay.
a
Not little
crazy
redhead.
yeah, and a beard and a Fu Manchu.
Okay.
Yeah, just, Dirty Franken boys.
Yep.
Put
All right. Closing the box.
Close it.
Boom.
All right, it's time for a main topic. Horus Heresy. We talked a little bit about a couple pods ago that the community is in a bit of an outcry that some rules are being simplified, and it could be said that Horus Heresy is a little bit being turned into not into 40k. It's not being turned into 40k. That would be saying that would be going too far.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some 40k type things that are being added in, right? So the big games at Games Workshop, Age of Sigmar, 40k, Horus Heresy, Old World. Those 4 or 5, whatever they are, 40k is at the top, and 40k tends to run downhill into the others, I feel like. And that makes
How so?
sense. Well, 40k's got the biggest player base. It's a lot of people's entry point because it's the most popular miniature war game that there is. Do you think that it's more popular than, say, all of the historicals combined?
I I don't know, because that's kind of pulling, like, historicals tend to be kind of like really distributed around, not kind of its own cohesive force. So I don't know if you brought them all together, they would rival 40k, but I imagine kind of generally the interest. I think for at least like general interest of like your casual hobbyists and stuff, I think they would probably be a much kind of more vocal force.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, my point is, so many people, especially new people, are coming into miniature hobbying after, I've laid out this hypothesis before, but for our new listeners, I think that the popularity of 40k / miniature wargaming at all is due to the fact that if you're 30 years old or so, you have been playing online games on the computer, on your consoles, etc., in your base, in your room with your Cheeto fingers and your headset for like 20 good years. Like 20 years that the stuff has really worked good, right? Obviously, you can go back further into the 90s, but online gaming then was a little more of a, you know, uh, we were banging rocks together to make fire. Okay.
Yeah.
But since it's been huge, I think that I air quotes young people because we're talking about people, I'm 37, you're an old soul of sorts, but it tends to be people from like 25 to about 40 that are playing miniature games. And nearly every one of them kind of came to it because they wanted to get in front of some people and play something rather than just be called the N-word by a child in a faraway area in Call of Duty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of them are coming in from 40k. So the first concepts of movement, of hitting, of shooting, of fighting, of all this stuff that are core to miniature war games is starting at 40k. And then what seems to be happening, at least to my eye, is when new editions of the other Games Workshop games, the new edition, the most recent edition of Age of Sigmar, the most recent edition now of Horus Heresy. 40k stuff tends to trickle downhill into those, and I think they do it because there are a lot of new players, and a lot of those new players are coming from 40k, so it feels good to them if they're going to get into a new game at the start of a new edition for some of the stuff to look familiar. Whereas the old heads started with like Warhammer Fantasy, very early editions of 40k, or historicals, and then those for a while did trend uphill, where in this pyramid, if you imagine it with 40k at the top and other stuff below, uh, Old World is a very old school rank and flank. Play any old rank and flank historical that you want, and a lot of those concepts will share. But then Age of Sigmar is kind of like that, but if you made it more like 40k, right? And now Horus
Yes.
Heresy, which had been very much more in the vein of the traditional historicals / old world, to just stay in the parlance of Games Workshop, now in its third edition, it's getting a little more 40k smoothing, I think we could call it.
Mhm.
All that is just recap of stuff that people are feeling some kind of way about. There are people that, one thing that I've seen that seems quite consistent is Horus Heresy players who they say, if you have not played Horus Heresy, then this new edition is going to be a great starting point. You're going to have fun. It's going to be great. You'll like it. Get it.
Mm-hmm.
If you already have a whole bunch of stuff for Horus Heresy, then they've a little bit hung you out to dry.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
we get into the meat and potatoes of this. They're totally not legending stuff for Horus Heresy, except they're absolutely sending some stuff to Legends.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. I've got an article pulled up that came out in response to the leaks of the various army books that were out for Horus Heresy, and GW responded. And I'm going to read you some excerpts. The title of the article, you can go look it up on Warcom, is Legacies of the Age of Darkness, What You Need to Know. And second paragraph, they talk about new stuff's coming, yada yada. We also notice that some of you are concerned that certain units in your existing armies might not be usable in the new edition, especially if they don't feature in the Liber book for your faction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Liber books are the, Liber, what is it, Liber Astartes or
Liber Astartes, Liber Hereticus.
Yeah.
I think those are the main two they've shown off.
Yeah, and so Horus Heresy, you don't necessarily buy Codex, you sort of buy the whole good side and the whole bad side and the whole Astra Militarum and the whole Knights, okay? Just for the uninitiated into the Horus Heresy, which I am. However, a lot of this I've seen before. Now, this article, Austin, you noticed it. It is dripping in corporate speak. And
is it ever?
And this is where the stick comes out for GW, okay? Because again, we tend to be pretty positive because little plastic men are fun. But this is eyewash. This is nonsense. All right? The upcoming Legacies of the Age of Darkness PDF is a huge document which will allow you to continue to use the vast majority of miniatures you've amassed over the last decade of collecting. Alongside the digital support for the likes of the Talons of the Emperor, Imperial Army, and Ruined Storm Demons, players with existing Horus Heresy collections will be able to keep fielding their older miniatures in their games. Okay? So there's going to be a PDF. That's great. There's going to be a PDF, Austin.
Oh, yeah.
They say, they say, why were the rules not in the Liber books? And they basically say, well, the Liber books reflect the kits that we actually sell. Now, this was a big part that we talked about in the previous pod, how in Horus Heresy it was a much more of a book and a system like early editions of 40k, like how Warhammer the Old World is now, where you can just pick from a list of stuff. In Old World, you can put a crazy hat on a guy and it's a magic hat. And in Old World, they say, hey, go kit bash yourself a hat and put it on that guy. We encourage you to. We do not sell a model where, Jim the halfling wears a big crazy magic hat. So
yeah,
go sort that out. Well, Horus Heresy was like that. Well, no longer. And some weapons are better than others and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, we kind of don't sell that stuff, so da-da-da. To which I'm like, well, why not? But then it's also whole kits and stuff. The
Yeah,
next, yeah, the next
anything they're not selling is getting Legends, or I guess Legacied.
Legacy is going to be our, yeah, yeah. Don't worry, Horus Heresy, you're not getting Legend. Legend is associated with bad. Can't play it, can't use it. These are Legacied.
Mm-hmm.
The next
Totally
Teddy.
different.
Yes, totally different. Here's how different. Can I use them in a tournament? And here comes a corporate speak. I shall do more reading, fans. As always, that's up to the organizer. However, we certainly plan to allow legacy rules and units at official Warhammer the Horus Heresy campaign events.
Yeah, I want to touch on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Because that doesn't sound like a
So,
tournament proper.
well, Horus Heresy is a lot more of a narrative kind of game. They don't really have, I don't think, tournaments in the classic sense. It's kind of like you go there for Horus Heresy events and play some games, and your outcome kind of impacts the overall narrative they're going for at the event. It's kind of like the story of like whatever event you're going to is decided by all the games that are played that day.
Oh, yeah.
So
No, I mean, and
they're,
I
they're
think that's cool.
yeah, so the whole thing of it being kind of embracing a narrative aspect of it, while also at the same time saying, well, at tournaments it's going to be up to the organizer.
Yeah, which, I mean, look, again, it's corporate doublespeak, isn't it? Because
It kind of is.
in the but by the nature of the heading and the introductory paragraph, they admit to the existence of tournaments, and then they're like, but for our narrative thing that we do, you're good or whatever. And I feel like that remains to be seen, especially, let's run this thing down the road a couple of years, and now there's been an FAQ and there've been erratas and there've been balance patches, right? Are they
Yeah,
going to touch the legacy document? Because that's always the thing
it
with
is.
Legends is,
Yeah,
yeah, use Legends if you want, yada yada, but we're not going to touch the rules again. And it's like, okay, well, there's still Legends rules knocking around that are busted, that nothing has anymore because, or possibly they don't even function with the codex that they are associated with, because we've got some armies now in 10th edition that have had their army rule changed wholesale. Like,
mm-hmm.
Gene Stealer Cult has got a price list for bringing stuff back, and I mean, I don't know. Does Gene Stealer Cult have Legends units? And if they do, where do they fall on the price list of buying back units for, you know, reinforcement or whatever it is that they're called? I'm just spitballing
Yeah,
here, but it's that kind of thing.
I don't think they do.
I mean, who knows? Gene Stealer Cult is a strange one. At some
Well,
point,
they're too new to have Legends.
I don't know. You know what? I bet they have Legends, because I want to say that in 8th edition, Gene Stealer Cult was able to take a whole lot more tanks and stuff and like co-opt, Astra Militarum stuff, which now they can again in some particular detachments, I think. But anyway, um, they do go on to say this is designed as a narrative war game above all else. If you're looking to create an optimized, cutthroat, all-conquering, unbeatable army, all power to you. An epic win-at-all-cost throwdown can be a lot of fun, but it's not the main focus of the rules for this game. And then they go on to say in the final bit, is everything covered in the Legacy PDF? And they say, not quite. Not quite. There's named characters that were never released, which I think, okay, so that, I really hate that. There are notable absences from this list, including a selection of named characters who have never had miniatures released. And then they
Sure.
say these are usually variants of champions, captains, and other characters who do have rules, so players who have converted such miniatures can continue to use them using the rules of that character's archetype with the appropriate weapons. I kind of hate that. I actually am. I mean, you and I are in opposition on our named character feelings. But I like when I'm flipping through a rulebook of something and I come across a named character or something, and it's sort of like, maybe designer's notes. You got to make this guy. I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they tend to not be terribly busted when I've seen them. Here's an example of one. Judge Dredd miniatures game. There's this Judge Giant, and back in the '70s, when Judge Dredd the comic was out, he was like the Black Judge, and he talked all cool, right? Well, in the expansion of the miniatures game, Judge Giant is in, like, he's got a listing, but he doesn't have a model or anything. So you just have to, make one.
Yeah.
Paint one. And it's like, here's Judge Giant. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a legacy of the older style of games. You see that in kind of like historicals and stuff. And like you've seen in Judge Dredd, it's like these things exist just in the sandbox of the rules.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily made.
Yeah, and
just kind of let your hobby side just go wild with trying to make these things.
Yeah, and especially in the case of something, say for Judge Dredd that has a comic book component, there's nothing stopping you from sort of taking that stat block for that guy listed and saying, "Oh, well, what if that guy was actually, Doug the Barber from this other issue?"
Yeah.
It's a guy with a knife. Okay, it'll be Doug the Barber with his razor blade, and I'm gonna go get myself a sci-fi old-timey barber, right? And that'll be Doug the Barber, which I'm just making stuff up, but that's stuff you can do. Like, insert your favorite Napoleonic general,
Yeah.
Use general stat block. Make it look like him, though. That's neat stuff. And so Horus Heresy's going away from those sorts of things. But then we get into the other half of this discussion. And I want to know some of your thoughts on it. We've talked about it before, but, spoiler alert, folks, every now and then we'll get in repeats and we'll have these discussions again. So we're gonna fire this one up. What do you think of Legends? Or should we call it Legacies?
Okay, what do I think of Legacies? Let's see. I think it's a good endeavor. But the problem is, no one ever likes their stuff invalidated when they've spent the amount of money that Games Workshop charges on it. So while it's good to be like, hey, it doesn't matter, you'll be able to always play with your toys. It kind of comes down to, but who else is willing to play with your toys if your toys are out of date?
Yeah, and a couple of things. So, people that live in glass houses and all that, right? For my part, I am happy to let anyone bring their Legends stuff to play me. Whether the rules are busted or not, like, look, if you're bringing 3 Greater Brass Scorpions or whatever, right? I don't even know if those are good, but if there are 3 Legends units and you're bringing 3 of them just to crush me, I'll play with you once, right? But you'd have to be such a psycho to go do that, right? If I'm the only one in town who will even entertain this idea, and then you're like, I'm gonna go get $700 worth of Legends units to crush Shane in a fun game, then you're a crazy person. So I bring up that example to say that that's a total straw man argument. Nobody's doing that. The way this stuff comes up is somebody's got a unit that got legended. It's still on their shelf. They still think it's cool, and they'd kind of like to give it some run. And I personally am happy to let that unit have its run. Okay? So, with that being said, Legends is 100% necessary. And we should probably separate 2 things. The concept of the Legends and the Legacy. I don't know why I've decided to say that like Bert from Bert and Ernie. Wasn't it Bert?
I think it's Bert. Yeah. I was about to get him confused. It's been a while since I've watched that.
Yeah, I know. I think it's been totally defunded. It's a funny it is a funny rhythm that he talks in. Anyway, um, the Legends and Legacies is it's an olive branch. Okay, you know what other games do when they stop supporting models?
What?
They just stop supporting the thing. Okay, sometimes the whole game. They're just like, okay, that game's done. Here's a new game. It's like the same thing, but it's a new game. So all that stuff's out, new stuff's in.
Hmm.
Eat it, right? Well, that doesn't feel great, does it? It's like, well, I kind of still like to play this game. You know what, guys? I think I'm going to keep playing this game. Screw your new game. How about that?
Yeah.
That's what people say in response to those things. But that's how a whole lot of other miniatures companies handle this stuff. All right. Uh, Games Workshop is like, we're going to give you we're not even one last hurrah. We're going to just, every time an edition comes out, what does somebody possibly still possess? And they write some rules for it. I don't think you've been able to use that, it's a thing I want, which is why I've got it always at the top of mind when I'm talking about Legends, is that greater brass scorpion for Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
It's a big resin model. It's just a big metal scorpion. It's ridiculous. I want one real bad. If anybody wants to dump one for cheap, let me know in the comments and I'll find you. Okay? But I don't think you were able to use that thing since like 7th or 8th edition. In 9th edition, it had some rules that you could use. I want to say it was in the Legends, and the 10th edition comes around and it's in Legends still. So that's pretty good of them. The no longer supporting models is necessary. Leagues of Votann
Yeah.
just finally got enough units to look like an army, okay? And they haven't even come out yet, but they finally got enough to actually look like a whole army. If you had access to every single thing that ever came out for Space Marines, like, one, your codex would just be, you'd flip back to the data cards, and it would just be, what, 300 pages?
Yeah.
It'd look like the Webster's Dictionary.
I'd say that the thing of it is, it's not that they're necessary in of themselves. It's that Games Workshop's design of how they're doing their games nowadays are what necessitate the existence of Legends.
Yeah,
Because they've turned it into a kind of a system similar to almost a live service miniatures game, to where you're always getting new content and you're always getting new miniatures. And after a certain point, after like 30 years of 40K, it's gotten to the point where you can't balance that kind of stuff. You can't. There's too much bloat going on for them to manage everything to the high expectations that people have for a totally balanced miniature tabletop game.
it's the
So
same. It's the same thing it's the same argument that Game Freak makes for Pokemon, where they say we can't have all 2,500 Pokemon in one game because how do you balance all the Pokemon? To which I say that's nonsense. All the Pokemon have never been balanced. What are you talking about? Same thing with 40K. However, 40K is a little more complicated than just entering integers into however many stats the Pokemon have, right? Like
yeah,
they could feasibly automate that. The way that 40K functions with keywords and abilities means that somebody has to sit down, put their thinking cap on, and type up a paragraph in like rules legalese for every single one of these things. And I often bring up Space Marines because they've got so many units as it is, with Legends in full effect and all that, right?
yeah,
Imagine if you didn't have that, how giant Space Marines would be. But then also, don't forget, okay, a new edition comes out. Well, it's not just every Space Marine data sheet that's ever been, it's every faction. I play Chaos Space Marines. I believe they're the second biggest faction in the whole thing. And it's a big old stack of cards. And it's a lot of rules to write. And at some point, you got to get the book printed and the thing out, and everything has to, at some base level, even function, much less be balanced. And that is what the mandate seems to be, that not only does it function, but then it kind of isn't totally busted. And if it is busted, then they go back and try to fix it. And that's a crazy game of whack-a-mole. So when people get so angry about things being legended, I'm not surprised, but also it has to happen. And I think it's good of them to give you something to ride out into the sunset with.
Mm-hmm.
Now over to Horus Heresy and this thing that they're doing with the Legacy.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they would do such a thing. I don't understand why there seems to be a mandate or an agenda to discourage kit bashing, to discourage the building the hobby side, the creativity of the community, especially in a game that they themselves really, at least in that corporate speak article, claim is not in, they don't even want to put out a GT pack for it because it's like that's not what it's for. It's like, okay then let me put a ridiculous spear in the hand of my whatever, right?
Yeah.
It costs 2 points and it's crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what all kind of options you get in Horus Heresy, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think they're necessarily protecting from people that are trying to win at all costs here either, because you can just as easily say, well, this thing's cool, and I want this guy to be cool because this game is not about winning so much. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it is odd when you mention it that way, in that you've kind of, it's supposed to be this kind of narrative based game, that's what they're advertising it as. This is playing out the Age of Darkness kind of narrative that they're trying to push, but at the same time they're limiting the options of storytelling
Yeah,
you could do.
and then to what end? And the end
Yeah.
that the end game that I think they're doing here, because their corporate speak tries to make it sound like, oh, well, this is to make it more consumable for new people. To which I say that is just misguided, and I gave reasons for that three pods ago. You can go back and listen.
Yeah.
Has to do with just sort of miniature war gamers' appetite for complexity, right? And their sort of fortitude against complexity, right? Complexity doesn't bother us really. Um, on the whole, especially if it's not our first game. If it's our second game, which I believe that in this case it absolutely would be. I can't imagine that somebody would walk into a store, see 40K, see the giant Space Marine cutout, see the whole wall in their friendly little game store covered up in all the 40K stuff, and then go over to that one little rack of Horus Heresy and say, "Ooh, this one's for me." This one that is a little bit, I don't even know what it's about. I don't think that person exists. Therefore,
Yeah.
you're coming in at your second game. I think this is all a training exercise to stop people from thinking to 3D print.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Especially with the getting rid of named characters who have no characters. They have no models.
yeah,
Like that's definitely a clear sign of that.
yeah. I think that may be it. It's almost like a subliminal message, right? If we take away a lot of the customization and we just get people in the mode of thinking that I build what's in the box. I've got
Mhm.
options in the box. Options are good. I built it the way I wanted out of the box. I did not stray from the box. You notice that more and more new models are coming with tactical rocks with little basing bits and things like that. I think they're trying
Mhm.
to train people. I think they're trying to train their customers to not think about I need to go 3D print up some logs or some weapons or an arm or a face, or I'm using a third-party proxy model for this named character that never got a model.
Uh-huh.
Unless you have some thoughts on that, and that may be a whole nother can of worms to talk about in the future, I think we're
And
at time.
we're definitely opening up a can of worms that will require a lot more detailed discussion.
Let us know what you think, guys. Is this move toward, if it's not in the box then we don't want it, from GW, a subliminal training exercise to stop you from 3D printing? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, please. We need 40 some odd more. And until next time, don't forget to
Get fanatical.